Okay, good afternoon from cold England. It's the 22nd of September, and this is just a quick update or summary of some of the things I will be watching in the markets today. So let me just share my screen quickly, and then we'll get it started, actually. Okay, share my screen. Fantastic. Right. So, good afternoon again. So a few things first. Yeah, I shared my screen, but before I actually start discussing that, I think we all have seen this market. This is on the market is on an insane bull run, and so there's so much money in the market, which is swirling around at the moment. And there's a few key things I will say. Number one, this is cyclical. We do have times in the market whereby there's not enough money in the markets, and everything you buy just basically just collapses. Really, it's all about a shorting market. But right now, this is is a raging bull market. Everything's raging. It's all up. But like I said again, it's cyclical, so you got to remember a few things. Sorry, the AI is, of course, is fueled by the AI boom. We got the nuclear, the US minerals, the mid caps, the large caps, everything is insane running. So it's a cycle, and this is very common. If you haven't been trading, then of course just understand that this is very common. There will be the cycle where things are up, and then there'll be the cycle when again things are down. So please beware of that. That's number one. Number two, you need to understand a few key pointers here. The more money you make, place, the more you should manage your risk. It's quite important. I think a lot of people are posting about how they've been able to double their entire net worth. They make more money than they've ever seen in 6 months, etc. Some people say they made their full year salary in a month of investing or trading. Again, understand market goes in cycle, money flows in cycle, follow the money. There will be time to hold, like Kenny Rogers said, there'll be time to walk away, there'll be time to run. And like I said again, the more money you make, the better your trade goes, the more you should manage your risk. Do not get too reckless. You've got to de-risk your life. Very important. I think I heard this from someone. Actually, de-risk your life. You know, pay your debts. If you're making a lot more money from the market, take it out, clear your debts. Otherwise, you're scoring an own goal. Build your reserves as well. Have some cash on the side. I've been warning this to the guys. Many people think this market's still got a lot more to go. I don't know where the top is, to be honest, but be able to de-risk accordingly. And I love this quote. It says, you only get wealthy, you only need to get wealthy once, because if you do it right, then you only need to get wealthy once. So very important. One thing I have realized, many people make this money in the market, and guess what? They put it all back in the market. They give it away. So do not be one of those people. Don't be a statistic. Okay? Yep, we have a very hot market, and what's going on? The Fed is cutting rates into this hot market. So yes, IWM will expectedly, well, should pump really, which is low caps. And we have been seeing that IWM has been pumping. You can see way, and we have a few rate cuts being planned this year. And of course, this is an all-time high, and everything is literally at an all-time high right now. So that's IWM. Another one is, if you look at the Qs, the S&P, and you can see if you look at the Qs again, insane run, insane run. I mean, I have been, trying to, many people say this doesn't matter, but of course, I think it does matter. If you just look at been shooting into resistance, and I don't know if I'm not trying to force it to fit, but yeah, but there you go. If you look at it right here, things just have, I mean, it hasn't exactly touched, but I don't have to make it touch. But yeah, it's just got to be careful, because every time, he hits this resistance. If you look at it, the last time we had a double top here, that was in 2021. It took many more years. It took about what, 2 years to get back to that zone. Yes, they eventually beat, but you've got to be wary. You've got to be careful. These things can happen. This market can turn anytime at all. So, what am I looking at the moment? I think there's quite a few things I'm looking at going into this week. Uh, Thankfully, before I logged in, Snapchat or Snap had they had the news talking about some. I think we had the news anyway. Some people are looking into buying in, and so you can see that pre-market, that Snap right there doing making making a good run, about 6% run. So do I think this is going to hold? I think it should hold because just just so we clear, nothing I say here is financial advice. This is just how I am playing the week, and of course, going with the guys in our trading group. So again, so it's kind of just falling into this. He was able to beat this resistance, and it's actually falling. Oh, sorry, it's actually jumped into this gap, and I expect this to keep making the run. So yes, pre-market, this is already up 6%. I think one more volume jumps comes in when the market opens. Then, of course, that's a good one to play. Depend on if the market can give it extra push. So that's one. I think I've been looking at a few things actually that we've been looking at over the weeks. Again, also like we said, markets will keep moving, of course, but again, markets may not keep moving. You need to understand there is always a cap. So some of them, this has actually been running since, since May, sorry, since March, since April. April lows of 15, and it's done what? 400%. Again, so this one here, personally, I will be looking at um, well, I'm not in it, but if you're in it, I will be looking at taking some profit into this actually because it looks extremely stretched. Also, there was a news on I think it was Friday close about the H-1B visas. Talking about paying extra $100 or $100,000. I don't know if it's an annual fee by Donald Trump, anyway, President Trump. So yes, um, kind of just thought, do you know what? Maybe this is an opportunity for the remote working stocks, and one of them is the Fiverr, which I'm looking at. I think Fiverr made a run on Friday based on that, and again, pre-market still a little bit strong. So I'm going to be looking into Fiverr again for another run into into the week. Also, I mean, if you're going to look into the quantum plays, which have been one of the key drivers in this market. This has just been on insane all-time high. So yeah, so this has been going. QBTS as well. It's another one that's been going, but QBTS is a little bit weak pre-market. So if this is a weak pre-market, you probably want to look into the 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 alternative plays. But again, this is general quantum weakness. So again, if you look into the weakness, look at where the potential support is, give it a few days. If they all consolidate, then of course you can decide to move in again. I think most quantum tend to move together, to be fair, really. But again, you got to be wary. I have a personal reservation. I think since Jensen Huang, the NVIDIA CEO, said, the market is not ready for quantum play for another, I think he said 5 years. So, you know, I'm not in quantum as an investor. I think it's just a trade for me. So you got to be careful when and if the market turns. This probably will be one of those that will, collapse aggressively. That's just what I think. Also, I think it's been all over the news about, I think there's been a virus hack with, on the airlines, really. Sorry. There's been an attack on the airlines, and I'm just trying to see if I can, yeah, cyber attack on the airlines. This is something here from the BBC, which is talking a news article from the BBC talking about um, software held to ransom by criminals. Okay, so as a result of that, I'm not actually particularly looking at what's it called, cybersecurity, but I'm looking at jets, which is the airlines. So generally, I think jets. I mean, it kind of everything just like the quote says, history does not repeat, but they rhyme. But if you look at it, airlines are actually at a resistance right here. So This probably could be a further collapse down, if a further short. So something I will be looking at again for a short this week. And of course, finally, we'll be looking. So yeah, for airlines anyway. Finally, there will be a few earnings this week. It's a fairly quiet week, not very quiet week, but a fairly quiet week. I think we do have Powell talking, and we do have the GDP, Q on Q's GDP on Wednesday, and of course a few earnings which I will be looking at as well. Where are they? There you go. So a few earnings I'll be looking at, which for this week we not particularly do not play the entire earnings, but I think tomorrow there'll be Micron, which I will be looking at. I mean, you've got to understand that earnings is 50-50. So, yeah. So, look, is that a potential run into earnings? Is that going to come down now? I don't know. It depends really. So, these are some of the tasty ones. ASO as well, AutoZone. It's another one I'll be looking at for earnings for this week. Which other one am I looking at? Looking at a different screen here. So if you're looking at earnings, I think I will be looking at the key big mega stocks. But this is a drone. This is actually very important. Red Cat. Red Cat is one which people have been bullish on. I think if anything at all, Red Cat is probably the one I'll be paying the most attention to. And as you can see, there seems to be a bit of a drive close into the earnings. But anyway, that's how I'm going to be looking at it. Generally, I play lots of commodities, and it seems to be a very quiet market on the commodity side. There's been a consistent weakness generally, so not a lot of action right there with cocoa and oil. Um, Speaking of oil, there's been a general weakness in oil, which I think I've mentioned in a few videos over the last few years. Oil has actually been coming down right from the 80s now, and there's a potential that oil could get into the lower 60s, or if sorry, is that lower 60s already, low into lower 50s. So that's another one to be looking at. I think macro is driving the prices of oil. But yeah, so as oil is collapsing a bit more, but again, gold is gold is on an all-time high. So this is telling us a lot. The gold just consistently keeps breaking all-time high. Look, the macros are saying something else, while the market's saying something else. We don't really get the situation where the market's an all-time high, Bitcoin's an all-time high, gold is an all-time high. So people are de-risking, but at the same time, the market is flushed with a lot of money. So, but at the same time, debt is an all-time high. There's a lot of things which is not aligning, which is the more reason why you need to manage your risk. You say you play you play your game, and that's more importantly, if you're going to invest at all, please, 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 it's very important. Put your money into real businesses that are making money. But anyway, I'll see you in the next one, and we'll take it from there. Good luck for the week. Thanks.